All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Karina Sabiq. I'm hosting our webinar session here today, Indigenous Health Topics. And before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and go through a few housekeeping items. All right, so as always, if you've joined us in the past, we always have some time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A button. It should show up somewhere on your screen depending on which device you're on, but that just kind of helps to kind of keep it organized. And then usually I like to see where everyone is logging in throughout Indian country, so feel free to drop in the chat your name, where you're from, tribal affiliation, um, and just want to welcome you all here today with us. All right, so guest speaker this afternoon, Friday, January 16th, is Leah Ashley. I remember your name correctly because you said Princess Leia the first time I met you. All right. She will be kind of just telling us about her journey. So, returning to our traditional lifestyle in new and meaningful ways. I'm really excited to have her as a guest speaker. Some of you may know her from her social media posts. It's really exciting to have our youth present and share their stories. So, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Leah here. All right.
Yacht 8 on the score. Here, let me share my screen real quick. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Yay! All right. Before I start, I just want to say a big thank you to Karina and the Mayo Health Clinic for having me as a panelist on this little webinar series. It's a great opportunity because I feel like I've never gotten to be in a position like this. So it's like, it's amazing. It's really cool. Stoked and excited to kind of just share a little bit more about myself and who I am. So yeah, let's start from the usual way. All right, so jag ska DJ yasentie senda ini hastra the go yothkas na kidmildob anna din hastra go iha. So today is Friday, January 16th, 2025. I hope you guys are having a good old year, a good New Year's. Oh my gosh, Bahajogonet and Ado, huh? Ahoo. Ado Shea, Leah Ashley, and Ashia. And before I start, I just kind of want to go through uh, a little bit more about what I'll be talking about today. Here, how do I do this? How do I? Yadala.
Are you trying to move forward?
Yeah. Oh,
Mm,
there you go.
there you go.
All right, so kind of just why am I here? Who am I? What's the vibe? So here's a quick breakdown. So essentially, I just kind of want to share my story and just kind of share more about my experiences growing up on the Navajo Reservation, my journey to college as a first generation low income student. I feel like there's a lot that could be said about my journey through my educational journey and also just like my newfound language journey through social media. I feel like in this day and age, learning and like, especially with, well, I guess with language, it's kind of been like a hard um, thing for a lot of people to learn. And since there are like more people on social media, I feel like that was the route that I kind of chose to like start, dabbling into and also just kind of practicing more of like what I enjoy doing as a a content creator, if you will. And then also I'll just be talking more about like returning to traditions in a modern time. And before we start getting into all of that, I kind of want to share a YouTube video that I created, like probably, let's see, like maybe like a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. It's probably one of like my favorite YouTube videos that I made. I haven't actually made like another storytelling type of YouTube video. I am working on one though. I am working on one. But this one is just more about like my experiences growing up on the res, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So here we go.
Stata scelta velata naso de Shawar, Namasanchi, Benvego, Benzino, Naso Inabinana Tasa.
Here. Leah Ashley Inishia, Nadine Ashinachai, Arona and the Shinagin Karina and the Shla, Kinsatini Bashtin, Hotan the Shi, Tarashi, Dushna.
This is my story of how I grew up on the res. So it all started when I was born. I was young, I was cool, calm, and collected. So flash forward a couple years to about there. Oh, go back a little bit. Yeah, there. Here. I lived here for about 19 years, I believe. And by here, I mean my grandparents' house on the Navajo Reservation. Yep, yep. I've lived with them ever since I was 4, and I basically grew up as a res girl. Look, I played basketball, popped the ball again, watched my cats. Gee, it's scary. Rock climb. First attempt. More basketball. God, his aunt's curling on me. Became a big jokester most of the time. Yeah, got you. More basketball. I will say the shorts and t-shirt are a signature staple. Elbow. Will I shoot with them? And just sucked. Oh. Look at the sun rays. I've always had a deep appreciation for everything around me. But on a serious note, my grandparents are the people who made me who I am today. Yuck, A's. I'm Leah. I'm a 23-year-old student at Dartmouth College, majoring in Native American and Indigenous Studies, modified with Human Centered Design. And I am just a chill guy. A chill guy who's kind of slow sometimes. But then I'm like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I am a hardworking, intelligent, wonderful, and inspiring, creative human being who loves grandparents very much because they truly did make me who I am today. Let's take a trip. My grandma taught me how to make dough. And then by bread. To not be wasteful. She taught me how to clean and to not be lazy. And if there's something that needs to be done, then get it done, rather than waiting for someone to tell you what needs to be done. And through evening walks, taught me to have appreciation for everything around us. She taught me to be kind and patient and resilient. She taught me how to read, which is something I need to get back into. But here's my first road we both together. So, Ado, my tree taught me how to drive, taught me that sweets are a beautiful thing, taught me to be independent and chop wood. He taught me to have fun. And I think they're the most hardworking people I've known my entire life. In August of 2021, I was fortunate enough to attend Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire, which is approximately 2,500 miles away from home. The experiences were new and exciting until it wasn't. The change was hard. The weather was cold. The trees were in the way of my everyday view, and I started to struggle with my anxiety and depression. At this point in time, I was rarely home due to financial circumstances, or I felt like I wanted to be somewhere, but I didn't know where I wanted to be. It was until I truly started to work on myself
when I realize how fleeting these moments are. Each time I come home, I realize my grandparents are getting older and time isn't gonna wait. Someone told me that home will always be the same, but the thing is, the people aren't. I needed to go back. After nearly a year of not being home, I returned to listen, to learn, and to try to hold on to these special moments because these moments are continuously shaping who I am.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh, I always love watching my videos back. It's just so fun because it's just like, wow, I really did that. I really did that. I really went through all of that, you know. Just it's a good reflection for me to always go back and watch a bunch of things, which is also why I love like digital content and like making different types of media because it's like a whole archive of just memories that I get to keep and look back on and it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. But I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit more about myself growing up on the res. So here is more about me. In this little slide here, we have me and me. So I am a res girl through and through. I grew up with my grandparents on the reservation for all of my life, basically. And I am also a recent graduate from Dartmouth College. I graduated well, I walked in this past like June. Um, but I had to go back for one last term. So I finished this last term in November. So I'm all finished and done. And I majored in Native American and Indigenous Studies, modified with human-centered design. So essentially, Native American studies mixed in with like I guess, design type of engineering, but surrounded around humans. Yeah, yeah. I also dabble into some digital media content, so mainly Instagram and YouTube, which is the two platforms that I enjoy most, I think. For a long time, it was interesting because like I was like anti social media and like I mean I loved making like content and stuff like that, but like for a long time I was just like I am not going to have any social media. And so I didn't until this past I'd say this past last year, probably before the summertime or like during the summertime actually, I was just kind of making videos and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna post one. Why not? And this is at a time when I was like getting into my fitness grind. I was like, just on the res and like doing all these like like making up all these like funny, like cool, but like helpful like workout routines like while I was home. So I was kind of working with like different resources that I had available to me. And I just started recording myself and then I started like making little like stories, I guess what they called like just little reels and posted one and then I was just like this is kind of cool. I'm gonna keep doing this and just kind of track my progress this way. So that's how like my social media started was like through working out and getting into that little fitness grind, that era, fitness era. And I'm also a Diné language learner. That eventually evolved into me realizing that the Navajo language well it has been a big goal of mine. Sorry, I'm also kind of sick, so like my throat is just like dry and it keeps like dying out on me like halfway through when I'm like speaking. But yeah, so it's always been a goal of mine, probably ever since I was in like high school. I wasn't like the brightest student growing up, but like I was just like, oh yeah, I really want to learn. But I never really took the initiative to. I think I was always just like kind of uh influenced by other students too when, they didn't think school was important. So I was like, oh, school is also not important. But I'll talk more about that in a little bit too. So that's about me. What do I have next? Ah, yes. So we'll start from the beginning. We'll get into my story mode. So I feel like all of, my whole journey kind of started with like sports. So when I was in like I'd say probably fourth or fifth grade, um, I went to school at Newcomb Elementary School, Newcomb Middle School, Newcomb High School. So I really wanted to do sports. I don't know why. I think it was because I had a friend who was doing sports, like one of my best friends at the time. And like she was doing cross country. And I really wanted to run. I was like, Grandma, Grandma, can you sign this paper for me? She's like, what is it for? And I was like, it's for me to join cross country. And then she was like, I don't have gas money. Oh, because at the time, like the school, they didn't offer like after school buses or like buses that ran to like the games. So I had to like really beg her because, we didn't have a lot of money and like it would just be a lot for her to like drive back and forth to school. It was probably like 15 to 20-minute drive to school and back. So I was just like, come on, Grandma. Like, please, please, please. And she finally said yes. And thank God she said yes because like I feel like if she didn't, I definitely would have taken a different route in life. I'm not sure how that would have worked out. And I don't want to think about that, but bless. Thanks, Grandma. I appreciate you. She's at home right now. But yeah, the beauty of sports, it kept my grades high all the way throughout middle school, high school. I think that was one of the main reasons why like I just kind of started to take school more seriously at the time. It also kept me out of trouble. I was constantly at practice. I developed like different routines and like I just kind of like started to build myself as a person. So like I really enjoyed playing basketball and during the summers I would like go outside and just like dribble and do like basketball dribbling like drills on my own and like it was super hot or like I'd be up till like 2 a.m. My grandma would be like, "What are you doing out there?" I'm like, "Grandma, I'm trying to be a baller. I'm trying to break ankles out there." Yeah, but it was a good time. And then that kind of it kept going. So like I just was constantly active like throughout the entire year and I just started trying different things. So I got into like softball, I got into track and field. Yeah, yeah, track and field. And yeah, so I'm an active person now. I mean, I don't really play like any of those sports anymore, but like that was just kind of like the whole history of my activeness and my fitness, I guess. Yeah, and then I guess like yeah, led into high school, so I wasn't the best student like in terms of schooling. I honestly did not like school at all, so um there was a switch flip is what I like to call it. I was like flip switch, switch flip flip switch. But that was like during my junior year. I remember I just wasn't like doing as good as I wanted to until my junior year. I was like, you know what? This is gonna be my year. This is gonna be a good year. I want to make it my good year. And during that time, I was actually like one of the first students who got to join this like new it's like a dual credit program that the one of like the schools that was built in I think it was Kirtland. I don't know. It was called Bond Wilson. Anyways, they're like a dual credit like college program. And I was like one of the first students who like got to I guess volunteer sign up to join this program. And that year I was my first year actually getting a 4.0 and that was like a big accomplishment for me and it was a it was a good way for me to also just gain experience and like join like get experience into like college courses and like kind of diving into that like realm. And yeah, here's some pictures of me. There's me running. I think that's in like Tohashi on the left side. In the middle, that's me probably playing against like Zuni. I was a point guard. We are a really small team. I'm a really small girl. I'm like 5'3". So I was trying to be a baller, but the height genes, they were not there. I was fast, so maybe, I don't know. We had to look back at my film, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoy playing basketball. Here's all of my, not all of my pictures, but here's some pictures. Next. Okay, yeah. So after I graduated from Newcomb, I ended up doing a postgraduate program. Well, actually, in high school, I like had to graduate during COVID, so it was like 2020. And uh let's see. I'm trying to think. Because during COVID, it happened in like March, no? I think it was March. Yeah. uh that's when like school shut down and everything. So like during that time I just kind of was at home being a bum, just chilling with like my family and didn't really know what I was gonna do because I remember like I applied to Dartmouth because one of my cross country coaches, she's like a big influence on also just like my life. Oh my God. And like my journey. So like she went to Dartmouth and she's just an amazing person. She helped me out like so much with everything and like is a big reason why I feel like I also, got to where I am too. There's just like so many people. Sorry, I'm like thinking like about all these people who like helped me get to where I'm at and like um yeah, so I applied to Dartmouth, just like regular decision that year, and did not get in, which was it wasn't like a bummer or anything, it was just like, oh, okay. Because also I didn't really know what Dartmouth was. It was just like I kind of want to go because my teacher got to go. My coach got to go and she's cool and I want to be cool too. So I'm gonna go to there too. And yeah, I didn't get in. That was fine. Wasn't a big deal. I just kind of sat in the basement and watched TV and chilled and did some farming, lots of farming actually, during COVID. And then it was probably after I graduated. Our graduation was so funny too because it was like so windy and like since it was COVID, we could not like have a regular graduation. So like we did like a float type of thing, float situation. So like we decorated like my grandpa's truck and like we did like a drive-through graduation thing, but it was hella windy and like all of the decorations were just flying off and like I was trying to sit in the back of the what's it called? The truck bed and it was just the whole it was it was a time. However, we done did that. Uh, and at this point, I was just like, okay, I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to go to school like in New Mexico. I just kind of, didn't really think much about it. And then my cross country coach was just back out, and she's like, well, like her son was going to a postgraduate school in Massachusetts called North of Mount Hermon, and the dean of enrollment was asking if there was like any other Native students who potentially wanted to go out there too, for like a postgraduate program. And I was like, yeah, why not? Like I can I'll look at the application and I'll get, I'll apply. And like I was looking through this application and this application it was like so much more intense than like Harvard's like application. I remember looking at Harvard's and I was like, oh hell no. But then this one I was looking at it again and I was just like, oh my God. But I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it anyways. So like I locked myself in the basement. Was just like downstairs like every single day. He gave me like a week because it was also past like the enrollment date and he was just giving me like time to fill out the application. So I was like, okay, cool. So I sat down there, filled out the application probably for like a week straight, and I finished it and I got it into him, and he was just like, "All right, you're good. Like we get you out here and we can get this going." So I was out in Massachusetts at North Mount Hermon. It's like a boarding school. Very beautiful, very pretty. And that was like a 34-hour drive, and my cross country coach drove me and her son like all the way out there. So it was also like probably maybe my second time like traveling across the country. My first introduction to what culture shock was. I remember people talking about culture shock, and I was like, I don't really know what that is, but here we go. And let me tell you, I was shocked culturally. Well, I was like the only Native student who was there. There's very little people of color, but I essentially went to this postgraduate program to fill in gaps in my education, like English and grammar and math and sciences and all of that jazz, that cool jazz. And it was also just a good experience, like to get off the res. I got to, I was scared, I was homesick, but it was fun because I got to do all of these cool new things. I got to continue in sports too. That middle picture right there is me getting an award for most improved reader, I think. I can't even see it actually. But I know I got a book out of that. Like it was like a book award, a board book. I don't know. Got to continue playing basketball and that was fun. And these girls were tall. They were tall. Like I don't know what I was doing playing varsity basketball out there, but I was playing varsity basketball out there. But yeah, during this time too, I my eye was still on Dartmouth and I was like, I really just want to go there because also during the time when I was in high school, I got to go to this career fair with that Bon Wilson dual credit program that I was talking about. And uh I went to the career fair, it was in Curlin, and I remember usually I like hang out with my friends, hang out with them, go to like whatever like presentations they wanted to go to or whatever. But this time, for some reason, I like branched off and I was like, I'm gonna go to my own room and discover something new. So I went to this like room and it was labeled fly-in programs. So I sat in there, learned about fly-in programs, and they were like, we have a challenge for you. So we want you to like go out and like ask, any of these college like booths if they have fly-in programs. So I was like, okay, cool. I can do that. So whenever the presentation was done, like I went out and like was just kind of a little nervous, a little scared because, just a little shy, little res girl. And I remember seeing this like real big guy. He's like sitting at this table. He looked like Hagrid from Harry Potter. And I was like, bingo. So I went up to him and I asked him, if they had fly-in programs, and he was like, "Yes, we do. We offer Native American fly-in programs and regular fly-in programs too." And I was like, "Oh, sick!" And this table was Dartmouth, so I applied to their fly-in program, and I don't really remember the whole process of like applying or anything, but I remember getting accepted, and like I got to go out to Dartmouth before going to this postgraduate program, so I had an idea of what Dartmouth was like and like what it had to offer and also just like seeing their Native American community. It was beautiful. I enjoyed it a lot. So when I got back to oh my God, my voice is like dying out. So when I got back to North Mount Herman, I decided to try again. So like I was going to like after school tutorings and like I remember going to like this English like professor. It was funny because there was no one else there. Like every single evening I went, there was nobody at tutoring like for anything. So I was just like, damn, am I the only one who's struggling right now? Which was it was interesting, but it was also really nice because I got to like take advantage of that and like really just like I kept going. I was just going and like um got a lot of help on like my Common App essay. And that was like one of my it like reflected on well, like the first application I did, it was like more about like the sob story, about growing up and like, oh yeah, like please accept me because I had a terrible life type of thing. But then I realized that's not the right like route to go. Because after talking with like one of my English teachers there, he was just like, what's something that is cool? Like what is something that, something only you could possibly have done or something that like you think may have changed like a path in your life for yourself or something like that. And I was just like, you know? So I just started telling him the story. He was just like, what do you really like? And I was like, I like basketball. And he was like, okay, so what's something about basketball? What is something that you've done? What is something that's cool? And so I started telling him about this time when I was in middle school. We had this old house like next to our house and I think it was like a relative's like a long time ago. And it was windy like one day and this house just like blew over. So like it blew over. There was just, a bunch of wood and everything like on the foundation of the concrete. And like one day I just decided to start moving it like off. I cleared it off and I once I cleared off all of the wood, oh my God, during that time I also stepped on a nail. That was crazy. I never experienced that before and that was crazy. I had to get a tetanus shot and everything. Anyways, after that, there was this like thick layer of sand, probably like 4 inches or something. And I ended up getting a shovel and I was just like cleaning it off till I got to the cement. And there was still like a lot of sand on, oh my God, there's a lot of sand on the ground. So I had to, grab my broom, start sweeping. I had a plan in mind. I had a plan in mind. So once I finished all of that, I brought my basketball goal out there. Essentially, I wrote my Common App essay about me making my own basketball court out of that fallen house, thanks to the wind. Bless. Yeah, so that was really cool, and that's what I wrote about in my essay. And just kind of like that determination and that drive for what I want to get, and you know, if I want it, then I'm gonna get it, that type of vibe. And so after that, spent a long time like proofreading and like going over it and like finding the right words. And I applied early decision that time because I was like, I know I want to be at Dartmouth. I want to go to Dartmouth. And so yeah, I applied and I waited, continued my my journey in playing basketball in that last few months I had at North Mount Herman. I also did kayaking and like biking. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful out there. Oh my gosh. I wish I could show you guys more pictures. I should have put more pictures. I don't know why I only chose 3. But yeah, it came the next year. I think it was like January, early January is when I got my acceptance letter. I was stoked. I was hyped. Like I remember like opening the little portal and my heart was just pounding and I was just like, "Oh my God." And then I got in and I just was I had to be quiet, but I was like trying to, it was hard to contain myself. I feel like I'm a pretty loud person sometimes. I'm also like a very like energetic person, so like containing myself is hard sometimes, but we did it, and yeah, I was just really happy about that. Let's see what I have next. Yes, and then we went to Dartmouth. So this, yeah, after I graduated from North Mount Herman, I got to go to Dartmouth. It's like not even that far away from North Mount Herman, probably like 2 more hours up. So it was in the same vicinity. This one's in New Hampshire though. Uh, yeah, traveled to Dartmouth. Spent all 4 years there. I got to do some really cool internships. The one on the bottom right is with Native Like Water. They're located in California in San Diego, and they're an awesome nonprofit that I got to learn how to surf and I got to work with youth and learn how to rock climb and just learn more about the cultures out there and like just all the people and the communities. And that was such a good time. I also had another internship that I did recently in Seattle, another nonprofit. So it's just like so many opportunities that like school really opened and offered for me and like just gave me these different experiences. I also got to be a part of this Indigenous Living Languages group that my best friend, her name's Najoni, she created, and I got to be the treasurer, got to be a cool member, and we got to do some fun activities and just like share a good time with each other. Learn more about our languages, how we say different things, and I also just like love talking to other people about language too. Like I don't know where this like love for language and just learning came from. I guess it just kind of developed throughout my life, but yeah, it's been a really really amazing time. Oh yeah, we called ourselves the illest, like ill. We called ourselves ill, so it's like Indigenous Living Languages, ill for short, but we were the illest, like the illest. Yeah, and that middle picture here is me and my grandma. That is when I walked in the spring. It was fun. It was cool because that was their first time like actually leaving New Mexico too and coming all the way out to New Hampshire. I was so happy that they were there. My grandpa couldn't make it because he had to stay home and take care of the house, which was unfortunate, but he didn't mind. He didn't mind at all. We brought him some merch. We have brought him back some Dartmouth merch. Um, and then let's see, the picture on the top right, that was at our Native American it's like the graduation ceremony. And we had like the blanketing ceremony. And those are all my best friends. They're all there. Oh, it was such a good time. I love reflecting. This is your sign to reflect on last year and have a good old new year. This is so cool. It's like a little portfolio for me. Yeah, and then I graduated from Dartmouth recently. And it has just been a beautiful time. I mean, it's been wonderful, lovely. Let's see what I have next, actually. Ah, yes. So I also dabbled more. So while I was at school, I was also working on, a bunch of media, different ways of, I guess, kind of learning the language on my own. I like I said earlier, like the language is probably one of, the hardest languages to learn. So like for me, I it's hard for me to learn, I feel like from like schooling or like from textbooks. So in my head, I was like, okay, if it's hard for me to learn that way, then like I'm going to use those same resources, but like find a way to make it easier for myself to learn. And I'm a visual learner, so like really kind of trying to dumb things down and like make it simple, I think is the way to go. And like, yeah, I just started, creating this, like different types of stuff. Like, has anyone asked you like the Kriegel kit, like what time is it? And just making stuff that's also like very modern. I feel like whenever you're, especially like Duolingo too. Like I like Duolingo, but like I feel like it's not super helpful because it's like, may you walk in beauty, that kind of like that kind of like phrases. So it's not like phrases that I feel like you would use like on a daily basis. So I guess just kind of like being very repetitive and like really trying to get certain topics down visually and then being able to go back and be like, okay, like this is how you say this. And then like, oh, I forgot. I'm gonna go back to this, if that makes sense. So like Instagram, for example, has been a really good way for me to kind of use that and also just share it with others. I mean, at first it was just kind of like a way for me to like just keep track of my progress. Like I said, with like my fitness too, was just to keep track of my progress. But then once more people like started telling me that like, oh, you've been helping me with learning my language and like you've been super like, oh, like this is an easy way, like an easier way for me to learn or it was kind of weird at first because it was just like, I mean, it kind of is still weird actually. And people are like, oh, like you're a good teacher and I'm like, oh, really? Thank you. Um, but yeah, I guess just kind of like trying to find an easier way for me to learn the language has been also very helpful for others. And I guess that's a cycle that I've also never really seen before. Maybe I just haven't taken notice to things like that, but like seeing it like come through has just been, it's been really cool. It's been awesome. And telling the time like this, for example, also just helps me like break down the words and like simplify everything. So like old kit is like the clock. Um, Iggy is like referring to like this okay, Oathkit is Oathkitigi is referring to like the long hand and like this specific long hand is at like the hour. Um and then Di is like the hour that it is heading towards and then Oathkit, is the time. So putting that all together, just like simplifying it and then also adding in like these what are they called? Conjunctions? I don't know. I'm as terrible at grammar, but conjunctions, I think that's what it's called. Like a to die, or then you can say otkisiki e tasla de azlin, and then breaking it down even further. And then this one on the right side is doing like the date. I feel like that's something that I enjoy doing is because being repetitive, once I said so like in a lot of my videos, I like to start with this specifically because it's like I feel like the more you hear it, the more you'll start to understand like what they mean and also just like start saying it yourself. If that makes sense. It like practices, helps me practice with like the months, the days of the week, the dates, and also the year. For a second, I kept saying like nakidemiltov on Nadine Nadine Ashtla, but it's like 2026 now and not 2025. So like training your brain to like identify like the different numbers and stuff like that. Sure. Whoa, I didn't know I could draw on here. Can you guys see that too? Here, I'll draw you guys a happy face. Boom, boom. Okay, that was terrible. Okay, yeah. So today, we can say today. So DJ, this one I guess was Rangent. So DJ Rangent. The more Saturday. D go. We put the add a GOO here. Okay. Pretend I wrote that real nice. Real Najania. Din go your cough. Then you have Naked Miltov on Nadine Hastrang. No. Nadine Ashtlagoyiha. So that was how you would say it, but this is like the English version. And if you want to see more of like all of this, it's all on my social media on Instagram, which I'll share with you guys later. But let's go to the next one. And I'm stuck.
Fix them go out. Go around the top. Yeah, I'm making a mess. Fire. I can't cue the music. Here's the deal. Here's the dealio. We're gonna translate this book. I am La Diné Yo Iya. Yo Iya. Yo Iya. I got I know how to say this one. Hold on. Shikani, it's massive repetition. D street. D quaggy. Shisha. Filet chai yo iya. Here we go. Dit is betaan janie. Bis istes. Hakot nestites. De lastki. Yo iya. De lost. Wangona shitnet. Wangona shitnet. Wangona shitnet. Hey, dashika ovid. Astashwa. Slav hashne. Slav shkanilier. Yo iya. What the deal get the sugan? Di quegi hard shishagan. Adejo wande. Naninsta. Naninsta. Ahya asufer. Read.
Yeah, so that's an example of a reel that you would find on my Instagram page. I just like to make fun content like that, like in this one. This is a way I also like to learn. So I just like finding simple things, simple sentences, and working with my grandma. I feel like that's been a big blessing slash a big help for me is having my grandma and my grandpa there. And, I mean, sometimes they probably do get annoyed with me being like, "Hi, Julia, hi, Julia, hi, Julia," like constantly asking them like, "How do you say this? Like, how do you say that?" And it's just like, it's it really pushes me to yeah continue to ask for what I want to know and like just being curious and it's always a learning process and like I think learning a language definitely is hard, like any language. So like it just takes a lot of repetition. It takes determination, a lot of will, and I feel like that is something I started to develop over these past couple of months. And having this platform and like having people also like be like follow on this journey has been amazing because it's just like it's cool to know that what I'm doing to help myself is helping others and like vice versa. It's like a community that I feel like has kind of grown together and like I'm very happy because it's like a reciprocal relationship, I feel like, and I'm really happy that I know I get those positive like comments about how these ideas would help them work with their children or like work with their grandparents as well. It's been really cool, really fun. And returning to culture. Don't mind my drawings. So this here is is one of maybe my second rug that I wove. This was when I got back from it was this past summer. I got to sit down with my grandma and weave again. The last time I wove was probably in middle school. And at that time, I wasn't about weaving. I was like, my back hurts. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I didn't weave until I was back at school and I was like, I kind of want to start weaving again. just kind of get back into it. So I asked my grandma, I was like, can you set up a loom for me? And she did. And I got to weave with her. And this one on the left here is the one we just finished. I got to see the whole process. And here's me at two great heels. Yes, I sold it. And then here's my grandpa. He's like one of the, well, he's call him supervisor. I call him supervisor. I don't know why I said we. I call him supervisor because he comes in, he'll just be like, checking in, observing. He'll make a little joke or something, grab like corn nuts and like walk out. But he knows how to take down the rug, so he taught me how to do that, and I know how to do that. And then there's me and my grandma again at Two Great Hills. This is a Two Great Hills design. And what makes it Two Great Hills is the natural dyed wool colors. So it's basically brown, light brown, black, gray, white, and very beautiful designs. I love looking at the archives. I got to meet with the owner of Two Great Hills store and his wife, and we just got to talk a lot about the history of Two Great Hills, and also got to see so many beautiful rugs. Like there were so many different rugs, different sizes, and uh so many, there's so much history there too. There's like so many books from like 1920s, 1930s, and I got to I got gifted a book actually, and it's just learning. A lot of learning. I just love to learn. I feel like yeah, learn something new. Learn something new every day. Oh yes. Okay, and lastly, because I know the time is almost running out, I want to do a quick story time. So this one I haven't read at all. So let's see if we butcher it or not. Here, I don't know if I can put that there. All right, I have this book. Oh, you can't really see it. Ah, okay. Anyways, I don't even know how you fix this. Ha 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 ha. There you go. So this is called Don't Go. So this is Little Herder in Spring. The one I've been reading on my Instagram is Little Herder in Autumn. So this one's a new one since spring is coming up. Yeah. It is written by Anne Clark and illustrated by Hope Danette Sosi. So shout out to them too for being cool people and building such a beautiful archive. And I got this from a trading post, probably like I feel like a year ago in I think it was Kirtland. I don't remember what the trading post was called, but they had a few of them. It wasn't a big stock, but I was just like, ooh, I'm gonna get this. And I did get it. I did got it. Yeah. Okay. So let's start from left to right. All right. Abinadon, Shibevle, Biyade, Hashnako. Shema Bagan. Bijay, oh God. Bijay teen Gisizent, Lode, Hibel, Halba. Yadilhil, Ahibel, Band, Shema Bagan. Bijay teen Sizigo, Logo, Dei, Abinigo, To Halba, Lo, Do. هتسيدا هتسيدا شجاج إنية نخيغا oh gosh نخيغاجي يزن بالهجوغو شتو شما نهيتشين هتزي آداهي يدفخي بسبا سبخا 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 أسديد Oyo adahasho dojo na inaka chidinislad. Wait, idinich id see chidinislad. Kad ahibe nahalba. Oh my gosh. See, this is like the process of like reading. It's fun because it's like you get to pause and then you get to like just kind of look back over it. And for me, this is like fun because it challenges my brain to like use different muscles of my mouth and also just like eventually you start to read faster is what I'll say. So ahibe nahalba nde doba yoshne at oh yoshne at eta shije hadziko Johana age inina do nihik idis blood. I feel like that was kind of butchered a little bit, but I feel like for the most part that was pretty good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this morning when I crawled under my blanket and stood before my mother's Hogan's door. No, just kidding. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I think that is pretty much all I have. Ado. Adaan ado ina ayo inene, love your life. That has been a big saying that I have really carried forth. These are the three things actually that I've been carrying forth, and uh, I think very important. Take care of yourself for your children. Take care of yourself for your people. Spread those good vibes. Always have a good day. I think starting your day and having that good mindset is also just, a way to go out in life and just, know that you're gonna have a real gooder day. And then yeah, love your life because it is important. You matter, everything matters, and like you send that love out, you're gonna get that love right back. Uh, but yeah, I'm happy to answer some questions, and I really am just excited to see what y'all have. And how do I get this marker off of my page? Let's see. Erase. Ta-da!
Um,
Clean.
that was an amazing story. It's really good to hear more about your personal journey and how you've gotten to where you are. So I'm very inspired by you leading our youth on, and reconnecting to the culture and also trying to learn and read and write the language. It's really amazing to see that you have your grandparents there also to help teach you and support you on your journey. So thank you for sharing that. Also, congratulations, you just graduated. That's an amazing feat that you've done. So, congrats. I'm looking forward to hearing more and following you on your social media accounts. But we do have some questions. I've seen a couple come in through the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Q&A chat box here to see what we have. All right, so one of the questions I have for you is, what advice would you give to urban healthcare facilities and how they work with our native relatives?
With you said native healthcare facilities and how they work with relatives?
Yeah, what advice would you give to urban healthcare facilities and how they work with our native relatives?
Um, I feel like listening to them for sure, first off. For wait, sorry, you said urban healthcare facilities working with native relatives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. Um, yeah, I mean, being respectful, obviously. I mean, I don't have much experience in, I guess, healthcare facilities, but I feel like, uh, yeah, being kind, accommodating to their needs,
Yeah.
listening to what they have to say, and I feel like, I mean, I don't know if I am answering that at all, but sorry,
No,
please.
I think you're good. I think just treating them like that's your family, your relative, right?
Yeah, of
All
course.
right. There's another question. So, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
To not be afraid, to trust in what I want to do, and um, I guess being confident in my abilities, because I feel like reflecting back then, I definitely was not in that headspace. I feel like I was always so nervous. I mean, I feel like even a year ago, I probably would not have agreed to have jumped on this panel, and done something like this. So it's just like being confident and being true to myself has definitely opened up a lot more doors and like opportunities because it's just like I'm just I don't know, just I guess kind of just having that mindset that things are going to be working out and like the work you put in is the work that you're what is it? you reap what you sow, or or something like that. And yeah, just being kind to yourself is also a big one. I definitely was a lot like very hard on myself, I feel like growing up, just because I held myself to like high standards. And now it's just like things aren't that serious, I feel like. I mean, you're a person, you have these hard times, and like it's okay to feel those feelings, and it's okay to, feel like everything might be crushing down on you, and it's just like one step at a time. Like things do get better, just be kind and gentle to yourself, and yeah, love your life.
I love that. Thank you. Um, so I'm going to look into our webinar chat. I saw a few questions. I don't know if you can see the chat box, but there's also just a lot of people kind of commenting on the presentation. I'm very glad to see you here and just enjoying your story overall. But I'm going to jump to Caroline Blackheader's comment. So she said, it's wonderful to see a young generation getting back in the language. Living with your grandparents is definitely a blessing. Are there any Diné immersion schools around where you live?
In terms of immersion schools, I definitely think there are some. I think I remember seeing in probably one of the news articles actually that there might have been um like elementary immersion schools that are starting, unless I'm just kind of bringing that out of nowhere, but there definitely are. I know there are efforts and immersion. I think schools that are happening
Mhm.
in res. I just don't know too much about them. And I'm sure there's like so many other like native language, Navajo language speakers who are also, in the youth and who are doing the same work that I'm doing. But, so it's like my story is not unique at all. It's just something that I am choosing to share with others. And but I would love to see more immersion schools. I think that'd be really cool. I would also love to. Uh, I know I feel like most times it is starting with like the younger generation, but I feel like having an immersion school for older people would be really cool too.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Just a question for me, before I jump to the next question. So you said that you started living with your grandparents when you turned 4 or around the age of 4. So they must have spoke Navajo to you since you were younger, right? Kind of just taught you the language.
Yeah, so yeah. Well, I guess, well, I was around my grandparents when I was, yeah, around when I was a small girl. So, I remember I, well, my grandpa, he was the one who would be like, he would just like say animal names, and he would just be like, Nishant, like say it. And like I would just be like, Nash Dewey. So, I didn't really know what they meant, but he would just kind of say those to me, and I would just repeat it. And um, I think the thing with that though is like, I think there was attempts to teach it and pass it on, but like school,
Mhm.
I think schooling is definitely a big interruption in that learning progress, because it's like I had to learn English, and then you're learning English throughout your entire schooling. And I feel like for people who for students who didn't get a chance to like even pronounce things when they were younger, or like whatever, it's like hard for them to retrain their tongue to speak a language that uses different tongue
Mhm.
muscles, and the way your mouth moves. So it's like I guess that's kind of what am I would consider myself a heritage speaker. So I'm not a native speaker. It's Navajo is not my first language at all. It's just a language that I heard growing up like all the time. Um, yeah, and now I'm just trying to reclaim that and actually have it be a dominant language that I really want to start using.
Awesome. All right. Ilya said, so you are so full of joy. It is inspiring. What is next for you?
What is next for me? Well, right now, definitely I'm weaving another rug. I started one this time. It is like basically solo me with my own designs, and so I just been like jotting down. I carry a notebook around all the time, so I like am just like constantly journaling, constantly drawing. So like I am creating different like rug designs. I don't know. I just have I have all these ideas that I feel like go on in my head. And another one is like definitely continuing making more language, learning more language content for myself. And I definitely want to, I think one of my goals is to develop an easier way to preserve and help others learn the language too. I think it's a what is it? It takes a village, and I am very willing to put that work in to have, more people join in on this journey with me too, and just to support one another as well. So that's something I want to do. Still brainstorming, but I am building an archive of different resources, trying to find out different ways to, uh, I guess, yeah, document and preserve different things. And I think visually that is something I want to do through like filmmaking, either filmmaking or podcasts. I think podcasts would be cool. I don't know. There's just different like I tap into like all these different like creative like little things and it's really fun for me. So definitely something along the lines of that and just continuing to live life.
Yeah, and there's so many different platforms now that you're able to tap into. So I think you'll be able to find your space or even have multiple avenues to get information out or share what you're doing. So looking forward to seeing that. We have another question here in the Q&A. So what advice do you have for your generation and the younger generations to help keep the language alive and help the elders in your community?
I think advice, I feel like I mean I feel like it's honestly up to them, but I mean if I were to be more encouraging about like, you know, connecting with your grandparents more, connecting with your parents more, I think nowadays it's hard. I look around and everybody's on their phones and it's like it's kind of sad because I enjoy talking with my grandparents. I love to hear what they have to say and like there's just so many stories that, you know, I feel like most grandparents probably take to the grave nowadays and it's like I want them to be heard and I want to hear what they have to say because it's definitely um you learn a lot through it too. And yeah, so some advice that I would give to the younger generation is just to take a break from your phone now and then and just, talk with your grandparents, ask them about their day, ask them about uh your I don't know, how did my mom grow up? How was I, how did I grow up as a young child? Like, because I learned that I was naughty. I don't really remember, but I learned that I was a very a chill but naughty kid. Um yeah, there's just a lot to learn out there. I don't know. I'm a big fan of talking with family and talking with just other people as well too. Get yourself out there. I think it's uh there's no need to be scared too. And in terms of the language, if you're scared of, speaking the language, I definitely feel that. I feel like it is scary to talk to, someone who is fluent because it's like you don't want to be judged, but I feel like you can't avoid those type of people. But I mean, I feel like if you find the people who are willing to like talk with you and eventually like you'll start to feel more confident. I mean, now I start going around and be like, yeah, hey, just to anybody too. And like even just learning a new word is really, really helpful. And it makes me so happy when someone's like, oh, like, I learned this new word because of you, or like this is a new phrase, something like that. It's just like it's really cool. And I would just encourage, take things one thing at a time. Don't put too much stress on yourself. It's beautiful language. I encourage you all to, to learn a language if you're so willing.
All right, thank you, Leah. Gonna just read this last comment we have here. So somebody's been following your Insta for a little while. I also shared your Instagram there for anybody. Um, and they feel so honored to hear your story. Keep posting and energizing our youth to remember the importance of their heritage and find fun in learning. You rock,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, this is also not just for youth. I feel like it's for everybody, no matter how old you are, if you want to learn the language, you definitely still can. And that's just, yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, you also mentioned do you have a YouTube channel?
Oh, I do have a YouTube channel. Yes. Yes, I do. Should I share that with you guys?
Sure. We still have some people following us right now, so go ahead and post it in the chat for anybody. Also, I just posted a survey link in the chat for those who are still on. If you could please click on that link and provide some feedback, that'll be helpful for our Indigenous Health Topic webinars moving forward. And are you going to add it to your, oh, there.
I was like, how do you get back to the main thing? Let's see.
Oh,
Well,
you're fine. Trying to find the chat.
yeah, or it's also linked in my Instagram page too, if that's
Okay.
yeah, it's like a link.
Um, there's another question that just came in.
Yeah,
Would you consider working with healthcare systems in need of Diné speakers for patients?
that would be really cool. Like working as like I think yeah, working with more native speakers would also be helpful. I think one of my ideas was to go and visit um what is it? What are they called? Like elderly homes? Elderly homes, because I know there's like a lot of elderly who don't have family, and just I definitely can feel like it does get lonely and sad in there. So like going over there and bringing my good old book and just practicing,
Oh my
I think
gosh.
would be
They would
really
love that. I think they would
right.
love
And
that.
just it would be awesome to just like talk with them, and also just a way for me to practice the language too. So that was something I had in mind as well. I think that'd be awesome to do.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and leave you with the last and final words here as we end our webinar. It has been a wonderful pleasure to have you as our guest speaker. Really excited we had this opportunity to host you. I did earlier in the chat post the YouTube channel because this video was recorded. So it'll show up on YouTube probably about a week. I think I shared that with you too, Leah. So you can share that with whomever. It is external. But yeah, just spread the word. And I'll leave it to you to have your last thoughts.
Yay! Okay, well, yeah, so thank you guys for listening. I used to appreciate it so much. Um, and yeah, I'm happy that you guys are all here. Happy you guys got to listen in from all over Indian country. Yate from the Navajo Nation. I am very happy, super blessed, and looking forward. I hope that you got something from this webinar today, and my dogs are going to be listening. So I'll leave it right there. Hagone, nijono na ado as ado dankolya ado ina ayo inene. Love your life. I'll see you guys later.
I'll go in it.